to get a dose of the vaccine, the COVID vaccine. And I'll tell you, a year ago, Ricky, when I was just reflecting on what we were going through as a country, and myself and other doctors, as I was advising now President Biden back then as well, we were telling him that, a vaccine is going to be our way out of this pandemic, that we got to get a vaccine. And now it's a year later to have a vaccine that's been given to over 200 million times in terms of shots here in America, that that's now available to every adult. That's a big deal. And so I just want to mark that moment. The J&J pause that you asked about, let me just tell you again why this pause happened. There were 6 cases they identified out of more than 7 million people who got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. 6 women who had a rare but dangerous blood clot. And so the pause was put in place to give the CDC and the FDA time to investigate more deeply and to look for any potential additional cases, and to work with doctors also so they knew how to treat that clot if they came across it. Even though some people may say, hey, 6 out of more than 7 million, do you really need to pause for that? Well, this is an example of how the safety system is actually working for you. Even with a small signal like that, they wanted to take precautions, be extra careful, because everyone needs to know that the vaccines that are being recommended to them are both safe and effective.
Oh, wow.
Well, you know what, Dr. Murthy? It seems like it's so much information about COVID and the vaccines, and it frequently changes so much. What's the main thing you would want the American people to know today about those things?
Well, here's what I want people to know. And look, you're right. There's been a lot of information for the last year coming at people about COVID in general, and more recently about vaccines. But here are the key things you need to know. We've been using 3 vaccines in the United States. The Johnson & Johnson is on pause. I think that pause will likely be lifted, in the coming days. But we still have the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines available to us. These are 2 mRNA vaccines that, again, nearly 200 million people have gotten. These have a very strong safety profile. We've got a lot of data on them now. They also are very effective, not just in studies, but in the real world. We found that they're really helping to drop the level of infection. So the key thing I want people to know is getting vaccinated is still our most important pathway out of this pandemic. It's why I got vaccinated. It's why I got my mom and dad vaccinated, my grandmother vaccinated, my wife vaccinated, my sister vaccinated. But also it's important to know, I know that some people are worried about side effects of these vaccines, so let me just speak to that directly. Most people who get the vaccine don't have any side effects, and those who will have side effects, they are very mild and short-lived. So when I got my second shot, for example, for about 12 to 18 hours, I felt fatigue, I had a low-grade temperature, and I felt achy. And then after that, I took some Tylenol for that, and then I slept it off. And then after about 12 to 18 hours, I was back to normal. And all of that is evidence that your body is actually revving up and building antibodies, building protection. But any side effects like that you have from the vaccine are far, far outweighed by the side effects and the direct impact of COVID itself, which has taken more than 560,000 people in our country, including 7 members of my own family and here and abroad. And also the long-term symptoms that so many people live with after they get COVID. So overall, the risks, and benefits will by far swing in favor of getting a vaccine. That's why we're asking everyone to get vaccinated. Talk to your family and friends. Ask them if they've got a plan to get vaccinated. And if they need more information, remember, you can get that at cdc.gov. You can talk there. I'll come on the show anytime if you want to talk any more about big questions from the audience, whatever helps, because this is how we're going to turn this pandemic around.
I have a quick question. I am actually amongst one of those that have been vaccinated, and I'm hearing a lot about different variants of the virus. So how much should we be concerned about these variants of the virus, and do we know if the vaccines will help fight against those?
That's such a good question. So you're right. So let's just talk about what a variant is. So a variant is a version of the coronavirus that has some changes in the DNA, some mutations. And that, these kind of mutations happen all the time, and generally they're not dangerous. But every now and then, you'll get a mutation that might change the properties of the virus. So we have one, for example, circulating here in the United States in particular called the B117 variant, or it was discovered in the UK. And this one actually is more contagious. It's more transmissible than the version of COVID that we were dealing with over the last year. And that's partly why we're seeing some ongoing spread of the virus. But here's some good news, that the vaccines that we are using right now are effective against the variants that are circulating in the United States. But if we do not quickly get people in our country vaccinated, and truthfully, we don't get people around the world vaccinated, then the more COVID continues to spread, the more of a chance there is that there will be new mutations, new variants that develop, and some of those may be less sensitive to our vaccines. But right now, we're in a good position. The vaccines work against the variants. That's why we got to get them quickly. And the faster we do that, the more we can stamp out the virus. And then if it's not infecting lots of people, the chances of a new variant developing are much, much lower.
Hey, man, we are so excited to have you on this morning. Thank you so much for giving us all of this information. And it's crazy because you're in your early 40s and have held the position of Surgeon General twice under the Obama administration and now with the Biden administration. So congratulations to keep doing everything that you're doing. And you're always welcome to come on the show to inform us, and we want to help people get vaccinated so they can be safe. Ladies and gentlemen, help me give it up for the Surgeon General of the United States of America, Dr. Vivek Murthy. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Thank you so much, Rickey. Really appreciate it. Really good to be with you all, and just blessed to have time together today. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We look forward to having you back, y'all. Coming up next, we're going to State of Black America with Mark Morial. You don't want to miss it. Up next, Rickey Smiley Morning Show. It's Monday, and that means it's time for the State of Black America with the National Urban League President and CEO, Mark Morial. Good morning, Mr. Mark.
Hey, good morning, Rickey. Great to be with you, and good morning to all of your listeners. The State of Black America this week, all eyes focused on Minneapolis, Minnesota, where this morning the closing arguments in the trial of Derek Chauvin began. I'm on pins, needles, and sticker bushes, as is the nation, to ask the question, Rickey, whether justice will be done in this case. Justice, I think, means that Derek Chauvin is found guilty of killing George Floyd. This trial, and the world had an opportunity to see it, in addition to the video, leaves no doubt in my mind that justice cries out for a conviction. And I would not predict what this jury will do, but I will tell you that I am on my way in the morning to Minneapolis to stand with the community, to stand with Ben Crump and Reverend Al and the Floyd family and the Minneapolis Urban League, because we have to stand together at this critical and crucial moment. On Thursday in Brooklyn Center, the funeral of Dante Wright will take place. Rickey, another. And then the Toledo young man, 13 years old in Chicago. This pandemic of violence against our people has got to stop. Got to stop. And our voices, our determination, our call for systemic change and reforms cannot go silent, cannot be weakened, but must be strong. So I'm praying, Rickey, for justice.
Yes,
I am truly praying that justice is going to roll down in this instance and in this case. But I think, like everybody, we are so nervous because we've seen so many instances where people have been killed by the police and there has been no justice. So for everyone, let us all be vigilant. We realize that there will be protests. There will be protests with respect to these incidents. We pray and hope for people to remain focused and energized, but peaceful, so that we do not allow anyone to take attention away from why we protest or why we advocate or why we scream out for justice in the streets, in the communities, in the community centers, in the churches of America. Number two, Rickey, the voting rights battle that we are in today is, again, another state of emergency situation. 47 states. We know about Georgia. Number of leaders in the corporate community have stepped up to support these efforts. Ken Chenault, former CEO of American Express, Ken Frazier of Merck, Bill Lewis of Lazard, Ursula Burns, 4 black corporate leaders have organized an effort to say to corporate America, you must step up. This is not a political issue, not a partisan issue. It is an issue of right and wrong. It's an issue of the protection of democracy. And so we want to continue to call out businesses across the nation. We work for them. We are their customers, to take a stand that is strong and unequivocal against voter suppression in America. Black America faces continuing states of emergency, but we must remain vigilant. We must continue to work. We must continue to fight. And that is, Rickey, today's State of Black America.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Please help me give it up for the former New Orleans mayor and Louisiana state senator who is currently president of the National Urban League, Mark Morial. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, more Rickey Smiley Morning Show coming up.
It's Eva's Corner on the Rickey Smiley Morning Show.
All right, y'all. Rickey Smiley Morning Show. It is about that time.